All right, let's tackle another Mtel question. This says a student places in a bag a blue number cube and two red number cubes, each with 6 faces on them numbered from 1 to 6. A friend will select 2 number cubes at random and roll them. What is the probability that the result will be 2 red number cubes with a sum of 3? So we have kind of a lot of different things going on here. We've got the color of the cubes, then we've got the numbers on the cubes. We've got a few different aspects to each of those things. Well, if we take individual probabilities that don't have to do with each other, we can multiply them to find total probability. So for example, if we want to figure out what the chances are that 2 red number cubes are drawn when he draws 2 times, we can find the probability of drawing 1 red number cube on the first try. There are 2 red number cubes total over 3 total cubes in the bag. So that would be the probability of drawing your first red number cube. Now the second time, there's only 1 red cube in the bag and there are only 2 total. So drawing a second number cube that's red is then 1/2. And we can multiply those probabilities to figure out the probability of drawing 2 red number cubes, which is one of the elements of what they're asking here. So 2/3 times 1/2 is 2/6. We can simplify that to 1/3. So 1/3 of the time you should draw 2 red number cubes. Then, separately, we can calculate the chances of those cubes summing to 3. This probability is a little bit more tricky to calculate because there's a lot more going on. We have to figure out how many possible sums there are, and then how many of those sums sum to 3. Well, the only way to get to 3 is by adding 2 and 1. But you could have 1 on the first cube and 2 on the second cube, or vice versa. 2 on the first cube and 1 on the second cube. So there are 2 total ways of all of the ways of rolling the dice to get a sum of 3. And then we want to figure out the total number of possible ways to roll the dice to figure out the fraction, the probability of rolling that 3. So there are 6 different outcomes for each die, right? We could have the numbers 1 through 6. So to figure out the number of combinations between the two, we would do 6 possible outcomes for the first one times 6 possible outcomes for the second one, which will give us 36 total possibilities for the 2 dice. So the fraction we get for rolling a sum of 3 is 2, which is the number of possible 3s, over the total number of possible outcomes, which is 36. That fraction can reduce to 1/18. And then finally, we just want to multiply the probability of getting 2 red dice times the probability of getting a sum of 3. So we get 1/3 times 18, which is 1/54, or answer A.